A tip for those who use Wonder clips: on the bottom flat side of the clip are little markers, and those markers are actually measurements. So if you line it up to a ruler, you can see that one is 1/4 inch, and I actually need the 3/8 inch. So for this hem that I'm doing, I need a 3/8 inch all the way around, and can actually use the line on my clip to make sure that it's straight.
One of my sewing pet peeves is bulky hems. It's just no bueno. So instead, grab your snips and snip into the seam allowance and distribute the bulk in different directions. Then fold your seam allowance. This not only makes it so much more easier to sew, but also provides a nice clean finish for your final garment. If you enjoyed this sewing tutorial, make sure to like, save, and follow for more sewing tips and tricks.
My favorite illegal sewing technique? Gluing. You can glue whatever you want. Pins are for suckers. The government doesn't want you to know this, but it's true.
Baby, I had a really great time. I really loved the conversation and that your car self-drives. Bitch, you better swerve. Rubbing up my aura. Focus on my mind, taking my time. I'm a new woman. I'm addicted and I just can't get enough.
I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. Honey got me running like I'm Flojo. Signs a name on my heart with an X.
Why does your old hem back look like this, while mine looks like this? The thing is, you just don't have the right equipment. This is the adjustable seam guide foot. It helps you catch every back edge without praying over every stitch. Look at this perfect skirt hem. Once you use it, there's no going back.
You already know what's about to happen. Oh, the tragedy. But how do we fix it? To be able to sew over super thick fabric, you gotta fix your foot. I mean, have you ever tried to walk uphill on your heels? Just a warning though, the hack is gonna cost you a lot of money. Some leftover cardboard might break the bank. Just kidding, but for real, we're gonna use this. We're gonna use this as a wedge. You're gonna put your fabric in there and then place the cardboard behind it to give your foot an even surface to walk on. And just like magic, you can sew an infinite amount of fabric. Actually, you can't, because you're probably gonna break your needle. That would be an entirely different video. Anyways, from now on, think twice before you throw out your cardboard boxes.
Here's a fun sewing tip that I just learned in my sewing class. When working on a pair of jeans, obviously when you're doing top stitch, you want this thread to be pretty thick. And if you just use one single thread is not going to show up very well. And so what I learned is that you can actually put 2 top threads in your machine, thread it normally like that, and you end up with a really nice finish like this.
1, 2, 3, ho!
Have you ever sewn a seam and when you get to the end of it, you pull the fabric out and it's stuck? The threads are jammed and it's not coming out. I'm going to quickly show you why this happens and how to prevent it. The culprit of this problem lies in this little thread right here. In order to sew perfect seams that show up on the top of your fabric and the bottom of your fabric, there is a top thread and a bobbin thread that meet perfectly in the middle of your fabric to create seams. So every time that needle goes down and back up, look closely or you'll miss it. The top thread makes a complete revolution around the bobbin case, catching the bobbin thread and creating a stitch. So instead, every time you sew a seam, when you get to the end of it, you're going to turn the hand wheel towards you, never away. You just turn it a couple of times until the needle is raised to the highest position. And when that needle raises to the highest position, there's the little top thread making its full revolution. And then you should be able to lift your presser foot, pull the fabric out, and trim your threads. This used to happen to me all the time when I first started sewing, so I hope it helps you too.
Genius sewing hack for getting perfectly lined up boxy corners every time. Shout out to Notches Sewing for this brilliant tip, and it saves so much time. You just simply sew up to the end of your fabric and don't bother back tacking and cutting the thread and starting at the next edge. You simply just take your bottom part of the boxy corner, pivot it, line it up so it's the same seam depth, and then keep sewing. So it will look something like this, and then you simply pinch the fabric and line up the edges, but because you've sewn those pieces together, they naturally sit in the right position. So just flatten your two seams, and once everything's sitting nice and flat, just head back to the sewing machine to sew it up. And when you turn it to the right side out, you've got a perfectly lined up boxy corner. Big shout out again to Notches Sewing for this. If you're not following them, I strongly suggest you do. And if you like this, do like, share and follow for more.
These are 4 sewing tips I wish I would have known when I first started sewing. Learn from my mistakes, y'all. The first one is to invest in quality tools. It doesn't matter if it's your scissors, if it's your rotary blade, if it's your cutting mat. When you have good tools that actually work, it makes the process so much seamless and so much easier. And I wish I would have invested in better tools when I first started. As you can see here, between my cutting mat and my rotary blade, I'm having a little bit of difficulty cutting out the fabric, but if I had better tools, it would have gone a lot more seamless and easier. The second tip is to pay attention to your notches and your dots when you are working with traditional or even PDF patterns. I know it takes a few extra steps and I know it's a little extra time consuming, but I promise you, when you are putting your pattern together, all the dots and all the notches will align perfectly, and it will make it so much easier for you to put the pattern pieces together. The next tip 3 is to pay attention to the seam allowance. I cannot tell you how many times that I didn't pay attention to the seam allowance because I didn't even know what it was, and then I went to put my garment together and it didn't fit, or it was ill-fitting, and it's because I didn't pay attention to the seams and the seam allowance when putting it together. It changes the fit of your garment drastically. And then the last tip that I have is pay attention to the needles that you are using with your fabric. There are different needles for different fabrics. So if you are having issues with skipping, or your machine is getting jammed, or anything of that nature, it's probably because of either the tension or most likely because you are using the wrong needle with the wrong fabric. Definitely research and look up what fabric goes with what needle. These are the tips and tricks that have saved me and my sewing journey. Hope they help.